Well, at least you guys like the new uniforms. I hope. Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am your host, the #1 Vikings fan extraordinaire, Adam Boyer. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel and watching this video today. Before we get started, please let me ask you to subscribe and help us reach 1,000 by 2023. We've hit the 100 mark and I'm so excited. But anyway, thank you for coming back and let's get right into the video. Today, we are going to be discussing the Washington football team's current wide receiver situation and what they should do about it. So what's going to happen today we are going to be discussing three potential wide receivers that the Washington football team could pursue in free agency or through a trade. And so yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. We're going to lay out one either contract or trade scenario for each person and have a little discussion, some analysis about them. Oh, by the way, thank you so much for the support that I've seen on this video, and this video. Thank you so much. It was the 3 videos I released just a couple weeks ago, and y'all loved them, and I'm so happy you did. I might release more videos about Washington's quarterback situation, maybe with focus on the draft later this year. So, #1, we're starting off big. Washington could pursue Davante Adams, wide receiver, Green Bay Packers. The Packers, as most people know, are in a terrible cap situation, estimated at about $46 million over the cap. So yeah, they're going to have trouble re-signing a lot of their team because a lot of them are free agents this year, especially their wide receivers. Now, per Ian Rappaport, the Packers are expected to franchise tag Adams, and that would probably cost them around $14 million at least. So yeah, that would mean they have to clear up probably about $60 million. I can't do math. $60 million just to be able to re-sign Adams and get out of cap debt. I mean, yeah, this is a bad situation for them. They're going to try to keep Adams at all costs, though, I'm sure. Of course, you have the Rodgers situation up in the air and so many other key contributors to their team that are free agents as well. Now, realistically, is Washington going to get Davante Adams? Let me just start here, disclaimer, no, probably not. But I am going to look at a trade scenario here and where maybe they could. I don't think the Packers are just going to let Adams, go into free agency because they could get multiple first-round picks probably, maybe like some really good value for him if they were able to trade him. So realistically, I mean, yeah, also, is Washington going to be the trade destination? Now, Washington is an NFC team, so, it's probably not super likely that the Packers are going to trade Adams to an NFC team, especially when pretty much every team in the NFL is going to be wanting him. Also, we do have more players to pay, important ones, coming up relatively soon. And we are looking at the same time for a franchise quarterback. Whether or not that's Taylor Heineke or a draft prospect, we don't know. But or maybe we'll sign or trade for one of the quarterbacks like I discussed a couple weeks ago in my previous videos. The whole quarterback situation is just very up in the air for Washington, but they definitely want to make sure they have room for him. So, like I said, it probably will not happen, but we can see if it will. Let's look at this quick trade scenario. All I have is Washington would give the Packers their 2023 and 2022 first-round picks. Is that it? Yes. Is Adams worth a lot more than that? Yes. But the Packers are in between a rock and a hard place. They don't want to just let Adams walk in free agency, but at the same time, a team's not going to necessarily give them a ton, like everything they want for Adams. If Adams does go into free agency, it's just going to be a bidding war with all the teams, and the Packers wouldn't really get any value for him. So yes, that is Davante Adams. I would love to see this guy come to Washington. He and Terry McLaurin, I think, would become the best wide receiver duo in the NFL. #2 receiver, we have Mike Williams. He's another big physical receiver. Right now, it does not seem like the Chargers are going to be re-signing him, although that could change. I'm just going to say that before, I get all the hate in the comments. What do you mean the Chargers aren't going to re-sign him? They haven't said anything. Right now, it seems like he's not going to be re-signed, but that could change. Like I said, now Williams would not be as pricey as Adams. Obviously, there's less talent. Few receivers are as talented as Davante Adams. But yeah, he's proven himself to be a pretty decent receiver, somewhat inconsistent, but he might have continue his breakout year that he had this season. Maybe he'll continue that next year if Washington signs him. And so, yeah, we wouldn't have to trade for him either if he becomes a free agent, and we could just sign him, wouldn't have to give up any picks or anything. Right now, I would think he'd probably get around a 3-year, $50 million contract with Washington. Lastly, wide receiver number 3, we have Allen Robinson. Now, Allen Robinson took a lot of heat this year because he only had 38 receptions. It was a down year with the Bears. But the Bears had Andy Dalton and Justin Fields throwing to Robinson. They had, weapons were limited on that Bears team, but their offensive line was also terrible. None of the Bears quarterbacks when they were playing did well, and that's partly thanks to their terrible offensive line. But yeah, through most of his career, Robinson has put on some pretty solid numbers. I do think he'd be worth taking a chance on. He's another one of those bigger physical guys that'd be a great compliment to Terry McLaurin. His speed, his hands, it would just be an awesome duo, I think, especially if Robinson could regain that form he had a couple years ago with the Bears. Right now, I would project he signs about a 2 to 3 year contract worth anywhere from maybe $35 to $50 million. So, yeah, Washington definitely does need to add some talent in their receiving core this year. However, there is some promise in the receiving core they have. Maybe they just, they don't target any big guys and they just try to develop their guys. Cam Sims showed flashes of what he could do. Adam Humphries quietly had a pretty decent year. Terry McLaurin obviously is awesome. De'Ami Brown might develop. Dax Milne might develop. You never know. They've got a lot of youth on the team. So, with that said, maybe they won't actually go after any big-name receivers, although I would love to see them do so. There's only but so much you can do in one offseason. That is about it for now. Thank you for coming back, watching the channel again. I appreciate it so much if you would subscribe, and please like the video, and yeah, help us reach more people, and so the channel can grow. Help us hit that 1,000 subscriber mark. I'm hoping once we get there to do some cool stuff like live streams and, different kind of stuff that you can only do when you have at least 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I am the Vikings fan, and I'm out of here.